Welcome to the PhotoModeler Scanner Point Cloud Adjustment tutorial. In this tutorial we will show how to delete individual points from a mesh, how to measure between points in a mesh, and cover some specific meshing steps. We have loaded the file grapes.pmr. This project shows a relief of some grapes on a planter. The point mesh generated here looks good except for some noise points here. This noise may be caused by a bad depth range, and we may be able to remove it by adjusting the parameters used to create the mesh. In this case, we will use it to demonstrate Point Mesh Edit mode. We also have a tiny bit of noise here and here. These bits of noise are caused by the strips of targets propped against the planter. To remove individual points within a mesh, choose Point Mesh Edit mode. This mode allows you to select points within the mesh. You can delete the selected points to clean up the mesh. We will delete these noise points here by pressing the Delete key. We will do the same thing with the other side. If you have a large area of noise to clean up, such as the area here, while in Point Mesh Edit mode, the Region Select submode can be used to choose a region of points to be deleted. We outline the noise points. Right-click to end. Now the points within the region are selected, and we can clean them up by pressing Delete. If you had forgotten to add a hole trim, this tool also allows you to cut holes in a mesh. We can delete this region of points here. One other thing you can do in Point Mesh Edit mode is measure individual points of a mesh. For example, if we wanted to see the coordinates of this point, we open the Measure pane and in Point Mesh Edit mode, select the point. We can see the XYZ coordinates of the point listed here. The 3D Viewer Center Around command also works while in Point Edit mode. We can change the center around point to be the selected part of the point mesh by pressing the A key. The model now rotates around our selected point. Lastly, we can measure distances between points in the mesh. Hold down Shift and select a second point. The distance between these two points is 10.1 millimeters. There are other point cloud specific operations you can do. Switch to Select mode and choose the entire point mesh. Bring up the Modify Point Mesh dialog, and there are a number of options available. The first three are specific to non-triangulated point clouds. The rest are covered in the next tutorial concerning triangulating point clouds. Each time you run these steps, a new point mesh is created, leaving your selected one untouched. This allows you to compare the results of the steps or to rerun the steps with different parameters. You can run as many or as few of the steps at one time as you wish. Running each step one by one lets you see the changes made by each step, but once you are familiar with them, you may want to run them together for efficiency. The first point cloud specific step, Register and Merge, is used to combine multiple point clouds. It will change nothing in our single point cloud. A typical example of how this step is used can be seen in the multiple pairs and output tutorial. One use of this step with a single point cloud is to make a copy of the mesh to be used with Point Mesh Edit mode. Here we can check this box and press Execute. A copy of the mesh is made. We now have two identical meshes. We will select one of the meshes and add it to its own layer. We will hide that layer, allowing us to work with one copy of the mesh. If we were only interested in this small region or subset of points, or wanted to do some specific operations on this portion, we can delete the other points and work with just this subset. Switch to Point Mesh Edit mode and use Region Subselect to remove the points we are not interested in. We can select our smaller subset point mesh and bring up the Modify Point Mesh dialog a second time to explore the remaining two point cloud options. Denoise will modify the point mesh, taking localized regions of points and smoothing them out. You can use this to remove minor variations and small ripples in the point set. Decimate will remove extra points while keeping a cloud that resembles the original as much as possible. It will take out points where the data is flat and smooth, but leave points around details. We will run denoise and decimation as an example of the output. We now have two meshes showing, the new denoised and decimated one, as well as the original mesh created before. We will select our new mesh and put it into a unique layer so we can compare the two. Here is the decimated version. You can see how the new mesh has fewer points while still retaining the shape of the original point cloud. And for comparison, here is the original point cloud. That concludes this tutorial. We have shown you how to use Point Mesh Edit mode and other operations specific to non-triangulated point clouds.